Hey, welcome to Transform Your Workplace. I'm your host, Brandon Laws, and this podcast is all about building better businesses by building better places to work. Each week, we share ideas leaders can use to strengthen culture, sharpen strategy, and help people do their best work. Today's episode is sponsored by Xenium HR. With Xenium's custom HR solution, you get exactly the HR support you need, whether that's compliance, employee relations, or long-term strategy. Think of it as your own dedicated HR team, built around your business. Learn more at xeniumhr.com. Okay, my guest today is Jenny Eversole, CEO and co-founder of StyleSpace. In today's conversation, we're digging into something we haven't covered before on this podcast, which is workplace attire. Jenny and I talk about how dress codes have shifted in the last few years, what it means to dress for the job you want in a hybrid world, and how style connects directly to confidence, presence, and leadership potential. In this conversation, you'll hear practical ways to define your personal brand through what you wear, how organizations can set clear yet flexible guidelines, and why the right style strategy can transform not just how you look, but how you show up for work. Here's my conversation with Jenny Eversole. Jenny, it is such a pleasure to have you on Transform Your Workplace. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks, Brendan, for having me. I love the work that you're doing at Transform Your Workplace and all the people that you bring on. I've really enjoyed the conversations you've had. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. I try to have guests on that have like a very diverse thought, something I haven't covered before. And you pitched this idea. You're the CEO and co-founder of StyleSpace and talking about workplace attire, something I've never covered before. And just how did you get into this? Like, it's so interesting to me that you have this like niche business. And I just kind of want to hear, like, how did you start this?
Yeah, so it's been a real journey, Brandon. I was a former fashion designer. I did couture fashion and I styled people while I designed clothing for them. And I noticed just how transformational style could be in their life. And it transformed the places they went, the conversations that they had, how they felt about themselves. And I wanted to be able to take this knowledge to the masses, specifically to people in their workplaces where they spend most of their lives. And so now at StyleSpace, we help people, we help teams and individuals look, feel, and to present the most confident, elevated version of themselves that ultimately represents their leadership potential.
Yeah, I love that. There's nothing better than having a new wardrobe set of clothes that you wear and you just, I don't know. I've felt transformed in some ways. I'm like I feel like I look good, or I'm just like more confident or something. And I love that you do that for people, because a lot of people like myself, I don't know how to style. I have no style whatsoever. So I need somebody like you to just tell me.
Happy to help.
The workplace has changed a lot. I would say in the last 6 years, last decade, I think there's been a lot of changes just as far as workplace attires. I remember a decade ago, I was wearing a suit and tie. Those times have completely changed. What are some of the biggest shifts that you've seen, and what do you think has prompted the change in the workplace?
Yes, in the last 5 years, I think we've seen more change than we've seen in all of workplace culture in the last 100 years. So we have seen it go a lot more casual. Like as we went from working virtually from home during COVID to transitioning people step by step back to the workplace, like we've tried to navigate all these changes. And so a lot of organizations, they've just pulled back their tight dress code standards and said, okay, we're dressing down, or many companies are not actually defining what their new dress code is.
Interesting.
It's shocking when I ask people, can you send me your updated dress code? When we start to go work with their teams, they're like, we don't have one. And I'm talking Fortune 500 companies. And so we help people define what that updated dress code is, and also just give people clarity and the tools and the empowerment to dress as a representation of who they are as an individual and how they fit within their organization. So it's a blend between their professionalism and their individuality. And you had talked in one of your episodes about personal brand and how it's ultimately an extension of who you are. And same with style. It is a visual representation of your personality, your competence, the role that you have, and how you feel about being in that role every single day that you show up.
I think many of us have probably heard that phrase, dress for the job that you want.
Yeah.
But in like the hybrid or remote first culture that where many of us are experiencing nowadays, that seems to not make any sense anymore, because like you just said, many organizations don't even have dress codes. So what does that even mean anymore? Dress for the job that you want. Does that advice even hold true anymore?
Yeah. So, as you notice, the dress code have gone down, or like they've gone more casual. And I say instead of adopting like more casual, I would think of it as flexibility to showcase your individuality. Like that's
Yeah.
the best thing that's happened in the last 5 years, is that we are no longer expected to look like gray suit, tie, white shirt, showing up in the same uniform and not having any way to differentiate yourself. And when we go back to that personal brand, like how do you be memorable when everything sounds similar with people using AI prompts, and you're like, who are you? Like, are you human? And I think your visual presence, your presentation, the energy that you bring, the confidence that you bring to the moment, that is what is setting you apart as a leader and as someone that's going to be memorable. And yes, it absolutely matters if you are in a virtual environment, like how you're showing up on Zoom, it will be memorable based off of how you show up.
That personal branding aspect is so interesting, because there's a lot of days where I just like right now I'm wearing a black t-shirt just because I like the way it looks on me. It probably makes me look thinner, more athletic or whatever. And so I just kind of like that it's comfortable. I think it looks decent. I want to wear this like every day. And, like a Steve Jobs back in the day used to wear the black turtleneck, or, like
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg, they're wearing just t-shirts, but it is kind of their thing. They're wearing that every single day. I've heard that they used to do that because it was just easy. Like it was one less decision they had to make. Do you think they did that for that reason, or is it a personal branding? Like I'm super recognizable because of this.
Yeah. So specifically Steve Jobs, that was a personal branding thing. And those were not just any black polos. They were actually designed by a famous fashion designer, Issey Miyake. And they were not just like $20 shirts. They were very, very expensive, and they were fit to his body. And yes, that was an extension of just minimalism, and they were chic and polished and consistent. And I think people can make a mistake by trying to adopt other people's personal brands. I think people need to create their own, especially when, I mean, we've seen people try to adopt the Steve Jobs look. I mean, we know of one person.
It doesn't work for them.
Yeah, one person's in prison, in fact, but it wasn't probably because she adopted his style. We're talking about Elizabeth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mahomes,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we all know who she is. But
Yeah.
anyways, we need to define our own look, our own style. And you can, like, I heard that you want comfort, you want to be athletic. But is there one third component that you could infuse in your style to just make you feel like a little bit more oomph and pizzazz, and just like, how do you want to be perceived when your clients are on a call with you? Like, do you want them to say like, Brandon is ... Like, what would that be for you? I'm asking you a question now.
Yeah, no, for me, I want people to have a sense of like, this guy cares about the way he looks and is professional, but also not too stuffy and doesn't come across as stuff. Like when I was wearing a suit and tie a decade ago, I felt awkward going into meetings with people. Like it's like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I want that balance of like, he's comfortable in his own skin. He knows what he likes, but he's professional. So what does that look like?
So I would put you in an effortless sports coat, for example. Put that
Yeah.
on like right before a meeting. And one of our clients, he is phenomenal with his style. Like we work with his team, and instead of adopting, like it's in a finance industry, and so he's seeing a lot of black suits, black ties, white shirts. And his way of kind of distinguishing himself within that context, just giving a new spin on it, he will wear a black collared shirt with a black jacket, a black sports jacket, and it looks so sharp. So maybe you could put on a charcoal sports jacket or a navy sports jacket over top of your black, and it just gives that little bit of elevation effortlessly. And you can just put it on the back of your chair. You don't have to wear it all day long, but it's just like, wow, he really put in the effort. Like he's serious. He means
Yeah.
business and he really respects my time. Like I can see he takes his role very seriously. He like Zoom should be a place that you are dressing professionally just as if you were in person, but there's a different focal point, of course. You're just dressing waist up, so you're going to focus on your neckline
Yeah.
and putting color into your look too, like wearing a power color that it will bring more light and depth to your face.
There's this guy, you're probably familiar with him, Kevin O'Leary. He's Shark Tank. He posts on social media a lot where he's like getting interviewed by like CNBC on like financial or economic stuff. And he's got like the feed of like what you see on the news. And then he's got his own feed of his people. And he's dressed with a suit from here up. And then waist down, he's on like pajamas and like sandals or whatever. And he's just kind of showcasing like how funny it is from a remote work standpoint. I mean, like, is that what you're kind of talking about? Is like you can present well from the waist up, but it doesn't really matter for the rest.
Context matters for sure.
Yeah. So with I think for males, a little easier to on the wardrobe, like a sport coat, couple shirts, and you can mix and match pretty easy, right? I think women have it a little harder as far as like styles and trends. They change so fast. And what advice do you have for those that are trying to develop their personal brand, look good while not breaking the bank in some respects?
So I actually feel like women have it easier because we
What?
have so many options.
Oh, okay. That's yeah,
We
true.
can express ourselves in so many different ways, and it's completely normal and acceptable. And men, you have such few choices, and you don't want to be that guy dressed in that thing. But there's so many ways that you can infuse just a little bit of personality. I'm talking specifically for men, but we'll talk about women. How do you navigate all these choices? So I think first, becoming very clear about who you are as an individual and how you want to feel, what message, what your personal brand message, that story that you're going to tell to other people. So, as I mentioned, you want to feel trustworthy. You want people to feel like you respect their time. You're an extension of great work, basically. So, you want that seen in your image. And so, when you get clear on those adjectives that you want people to see, then you look for things according to that. You build an image, you build this image brand around those three core components of your identity. And also consider how each one of those identity words fits into the context. So whether you're on a Zoom call, whether you're at a networking event. So women can actually use this even more than men because in a networking event setting, I wear really cool earrings, for example. I wear a cool pattern. I can go way more expressive with my things in networking events versus when I'm in a financial office setting. For example, I will wear like designer earrings that I purchased from Paris, and women can come up to other women and say, "Those are such cool earrings. Where'd you get them from?" And then you have this new connection point, and then you start talking about your trips to Paris together, and you have a relationship and a trust bond formed in seconds. Versus men, could you go up to another guy and say, "I love your tie. That tie. Oh my goodness, you were just killing it today."
I mean, maybe
Maybe.
with a tie, but not much else in terms
Well, I
of
think we should do that more. Wouldn't you feel great if somebody complimented your attire?
oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like I could imagine it doing wonders for a workplace culture too. Is like if people actually express themselves in that way, wearing certain things, it's a conversation starter, like you said with the earrings.
Absolutely. It's a powerful expression tool. It's the most powerful nonverbal expression tool. Before you're even able to say, "Hey, I'm Brandon and I do this and I'm awesome," you're showing it in your visual presentation before, because people are judging you whether we like it or not. In the first 7 seconds of meeting someone for the first time, they're judging you about whether they can trust you, whether they want to do business with you, whether you're competent. And that can feel daunting for some people. Judgmental, yes. Human nature, absolutely. But the most empowering part of this is that we're in full control of our style narrative and what we present to the world. It just takes a little bit of training and thought. And that's what we help people with, specifically in the workplace and on one-on-one settings.
I imagine you get a lot of individuals approaching you for like, hey, I need help. Like a person like me, like not good at styling. I would approach you, Jenny, like help me out. Do organizations ever like reach out and say, hey, we've got, this workplace culture has no dress code. We have maybe a policy or dress code, but we need some help. And I need you to come in and like talk to our people and even have some one-on-one. Like, is that something that you do for organizations?
Yeah, absolutely. So, especially as companies have transitioned back to the workplace, and we've had this dramatic shift between working from home
Yeah.
with very casual attire to how do we now dress in this new workplace? And this is a new workplace. We're not wearing the same things that we used to wear. Like, how do we navigate this? So, absolutely, we've worked with teams doing just that, like going from fully remote to fully in person overnight. So, yeah, and the great thing that we do is that we don't tell people like don't wear this, this is on trend, that's not what we do. What we teach people is like how to feel comfortable in their own skin and how to define what their personal style is within their workplace context. And some of the workplace challenges or the individual challenges that people have in the workplace. So 96% of people, they feel that their personal style directly impacts their success and their leadership growth in their workplace and beyond. However, the challenge is only 15% of people feel that they're representing their leadership role.
Wow.
Or their aspirational leadership role through their dress. Only 15%. And so we help bridge that gap. So after people do our training, 92% of people say, I feel more confident and professional and engaged in the workplace.
That's incredible. I think people are uncomfortable about like, how do you even, keep up with the style trends. I mean, for me, I've never been one to have any style. I think I remember going to Pinterest or something and looking at like, what's male business casual look like nowadays? And then find things that kind of match that and fit that. And it's uncomfortable. Like, I guess I got better over the years, but I think a lot of people are in the same boat. Like, they're going back to the workplace and they look at their closet and they're like, what the heck do I wear to the office today? Is that what you're hearing from a lot of people? Like the same thing that I just described?
Absolutely. And what I'm noticing too, Brandon, is that people are having these conversations in secret. This is like they're asking us specifically, like, can I wear jeans to work? Is it appropriate to wear sneakers with my suits? What do I wear to a client meeting? These are all the things that they're asking us that we're helping them discover and navigate and find out. And they're not written in any guide or rule book. No. And they should be. They should have these guides. And this is something that we provide them.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. But a lot of times, especially if you're new to the workplace, you're an intern, you're a new hire, you're trying to find out like, what is the norm here? How can I be successful in this role? Like, how can I look successful and like be that one that can best represent my role and the firm as well? So a lot of times it's just manager by manager giving them feedback about, no, that is not appropriate to wear a mini skirt to a client meeting at this consulting firm. Like, that's not appropriate. We can't take you to this meeting. And a lot of times they can't even tell that new employee this information, which puts them at such a huge disadvantage, like this new employee. And we've seen TikTok trends too of people actually getting fired over things like this, like trying to look a certain way based off of a TikTok trend. But we basically debunk a lot of those things and say, don't listen to TikTok. They are not your stylist. They are not your HR director. Basically, we give them the tools just so that they can be successful and represent the best version of themselves in every single workplace context.
Companies that you talk to, are they doing away with dress codes, or do they have some sort of like playbook or some guidelines like you described?
Yeah. So I've seen some that have done updated dress codes, or they've cut out certain things and they've just made it a little bit more general, because there's, like you said, we're not wearing like stockings with our like suits anymore. That's a thing of the past. We're not required to wear ties. Sports jackets are fine. Even at some of the really top Fortune 50 companies where front facing employees are required to look very sharp, even those types of companies can now wear sneakers with their suits. Unspoken and observational, but some of it is actually updated and infused into the dress code. And some companies, like some tech companies that I've worked with, they're just saying, we've just decided to drop the dress code because we don't want to ruffle any feathers with anybody. Like, we've just dropped it. We don't want to deal with it. And I encourage them to at least give some people guidelines because it can be difficult having these conversations sometimes, or to worry about, okay, is this worded the right way? Is this inclusive to everybody? But ultimately, what we're trying to give is people the best tools possible to perform to the best of their ability. And this is one of the things that they could benefit from.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I definitely think like guidelines or some tools is helpful for employees. One of the things I think about, we've talked earlier about, expression, individuality. And I think that's super important for people to be able to express themselves and show up the way that they see themselves. On the other side of the coin is every organization has a brand, an external brand, an internal brand, and it makes up who they are. So I see the value in having some guidelines or some sort of code to say like, here's what we look like, but a blend of that too, I could see about, I don't know. I'm sure you get approached with that all the time. It's like, we want somewhere in the middle between like, here's what our organization's brand is, but we also want people to express themselves. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so we're going to go back to the topic of personal brand because a lot of companies are really investing in personal branding because they realize it's individuals that are building those trust relationships with their clients. It's the individual that people are buying from. And so developing that personal brand identity that is a representation of the organization as a whole, that is what they're looking for. So for example, if you don't want someone to look like everybody else at your firm, like a uniform. Yeah. Nobody wants that anymore. What we want is expression, like that human side of people. And your dress is the most effective, in my opinion, I'm biased, of course. It is the most effective way to infuse your personality and like creating some type of a signature to your look, whether it's a specific accessory, a pattern, a color, and have people know you buy this. Every time you show up, people are saying, wow, that orange on you today, man, you're killing it, Brandon.
Do any organizations that you've worked with provide like a stipend or anything if they need to like totally transform their attire? Do they ever provide like stipend or even pay for it outright, depending on like the type of business? And because I haven't really heard of that, but I'm curious if anybody you've worked with is doing that.
Yeah, so we do, as I mentioned, team trainings, but we also do one-on-one styling experiences with people or packages. So if you're a senior leader, for example, we work one-on-one with you. And this is something that either the company can pay part of or all of, or a lot of companies have professional development budgets, like for individuals that they can invest in or that they can use that money towards our styling experiences. We also have opt-in employee benefits. So for example, if someone wants to opt into this, they can opt in and they can get one free styling session. Like it's paid for through their benefits in their company, but basically they can get one-on-one styling session, and they can also participate in other group workshops and experiences and events that we offer at their company. So yes, it is definitely available.
Love it. Love it. So when people like do that styling session with you, are you also suggesting certain products or clothing lines that you like or can source, or like, how does that work? Because there's so many options out there. And for a lot of people who are like, I just want to hit the easy button, like order on Stitch Fix or something like that. I've done that before and it's really expensive, but it's an easy button.
We are your easy button for sure. And unlike box services where a lot of those recommendations that are given to you, they are AI generated. And also the actual stylist is only spending about 7 minutes of their time, and
I'm sure
their inventory is limited to what they have on stock, what they have in for that season. But what we do is we source the entire World Wide Web, and our stylists, they are former shoppers. They've been in retail for a very long time, and they know that very special brand that you're going to love, that's going to fit with your body type, your coloring, and your lifestyle and your workplace context as well. And so we do something called a style strategy. So we go through like, what is that brand that you are trying to represent to the world? Also, like, what is your day-to-day life like? And are you going more on Zoom calls? Are you going to networking events where you have to dress head to toe? And then we create a style strategy and give you product links for every single one of those style strategies that we have implemented. We make it very easy for you to implement with just a press of a button.
Amazing. Love it. Well, before we close, I always like to ask this one question that ties kind of everything together. What's one experience, a person, or an idea that's shaped the way that you think about your work, leadership, or transforming your workplace culture?
So I'm going to use two. I'm going to use someone that I don't know individually, but I know her work really well. It's Sarah Blakely from Spanx.
Yeah.
You know her, of course.
Incredibly successful. Yes.
Yeah. She's just, no one existed like her 20 years ago in the workplace, where she just completely transformed what an entrepreneur looks like. And she did vision boards about what she wanted and manifested every single opportunity, from being on Oprah to being friends with Richard Branson and standing on a hot air balloon having tea or something with him. And she believed to the extent of like knowledge of what she was going to accomplish, based off of what she put out there into the universe. And that is so wildly different than how entrepreneurs were 20 years ago. And she built this empire with Spanx. And I love Spanx. They've transformed so many women's lives. And the other thing about her, she was there for everybody else but herself. She said, I am standing up for women and what is possible for them, and just helping them feel like the most confident versions of themselves. And that is something that I try to embody at StyleSpace, that energy about empowering other people to be the best version of themselves and reach out for opportunities that they may not have reached out for before because they felt maybe a little self-conscious of showing their truest self. And my second one, Liz Elting, I'm not sure if you know her. She's fantastic. She founded a company called TransPerfect. It was a translation company, $1 billion translation company. And she wrote the book called Dream Big and Win. I downloaded it over Thanksgiving when I was in Venice, and I was supposed to be vacationing in Venice. And instead, I'm like listening to her book while I'm walking these tiny streets in Venice. And it was so transformational for me because she, like Sarah Blakely, they're around this, I guess she's a little bit older than Sarah Blakely, but she started in the 90s. Sarah Blakely started early 2000s, but she was out there for women to have better opportunities in the world for like entrepreneurship. And she led that path by just showing up every day, working so hard and just putting in the reps over and over again. She has this saying called say it, set it, do it, and then do it again. And I actually have that like printed all over my office, but I reached out to her and now she has become like a trusted mentor to me and friend. Wow. And I adore Liz Elting, and I really believe in the power of mentorship, and she's been that person to me. So
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to have to buy that book. That sounds really interesting to me.
I'll send you a link to it. It's a fantastic
Excellent.
book.
And I appreciate it. Jenny, it has been such a pleasure to have you on. I love that we got to talk about styling and all that. I learned a lot from this conversation. Where can people learn more if they want to like look at your work, connect with you, have a chat with you? What's the best way to connect with you and check out your work?
Sure. If you go to stylespace.com, you're going to find all the information for if you yourself feel like you need a bit of a style pick me up or upgrade, you can go to the one-on-one session link and you can book something for yourself. If you are looking for some kind of an inspiring team event that helps people transition back to the workplace in style and engage sales teams in a new way, or whatever department you are in, we can help you with that too. Just reach out to us and we will get you set up. Find me on LinkedIn. I'm always looking to connect with new inspiring people in the business space. And so that's how you can find me.
My guest today has been Jenny Eversole, a co-founder and CEO of StyleSpace. Jenny, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning in for today's episode of Transform Your Workplace. The content on this show is strictly for general information and educational purposes only, so that you can go transform your workplace in a positive way. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on the show are the guest's own and don't represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of either Xenium HR, the sponsor of the show, or me, the host, Brandon Laws. Additionally, Xenium HR or myself, Brandon Laws, doesn't endorse any guest, their business, or any organization they represent, so discretion is advised. We encourage you to work with a trusted advisor to find a custom approach that fits your organization's needs. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode.